Hi, Misha here, and felt like doing another video on Eagle Moss's diecast Star Trek Starships models, because this one just came out. This is the Orion Interceptor, or Raider, from Enterprise. This is from Season 4, the one with the episode arc, I should say, with Eric Soon, Data's grandfather. And one we've had for quite a long time. I brought out the only other Orion ship we have, the Orion Scout or Intruder vessel from TOS, Journey to Babel. And this is actually from TOS Remastered. In the original 1960s series, it was a blob of light, which was a common tactic used especially in the first season. Yeah, these are the only two Orion ships that we have in the collection, and there aren't many more in the whole Star Trek universe, which is interesting because, along with the Vulcans, Spock, Orions were one of the few in the original pilot episode that were carried on. They really weren't featured much in Next Generation, but we do see them a decent amount in Deep Space Nine, where the whole syndicate nature, the criminal nature, tends to fit. Obviously, the big episode is the O'Brien Must Suffer one, where he is unwillingly co-opted into working on a project about them. But anyhow, so what do I think of these? What specs? Well, specs are super easy. For the Interceptor here, we know that it is a fast, agile ship, but not especially well armored. It has at least one, maybe up to 3 particle cannon, but this is considered only moderate level armament. We also know it has a transporter. And since it abducts 9 crewmen from Enterprise, and it would need its own crewmen, and we can assume that's probably not the maximum it can take, we can assume it can carry minimum of, 15. I mean, kind of bird of prey size. The wings are really too thin to have decks. It's too small for that, so they'd just be in this main body here. It does look to be atmospheric as well. And that's what we know about it. In a way, we know a little more about the Intruder. In the episode, it's said to be going warp 10. Funny how no one ever calls out TOS on canon stuff. My big beef with TOS is still how they refer to the entire galaxy. But anyway, it's fast and seems to be at warp. We know it's armed with phasers, energy shields. It's said in the episode that it has some kind of sensor absorbing or deflecting hull armor. Not a cloak per se, but obscuring. And it seems to have a more than one person crew, but also a relatively small one. And I could not find size estimates for either of these. Well, let's talk about the Intruder first. I think I've probably shown it at least in one past video. The reason they kind of did the ring ship design is to honor the original Dot from the series, but still giving it a lot more detail. It has these kind of, very ranging, interesting engines here that rotate, claiming to be the speed and power that it has. A lot of the models we received from the TOS are kind of on the small side. I think that's just, yeah, I knew it was going to happen. This stays on its stand well, but does not stay plugged in well. See, now you understand why I don't pick stuff up all the time. Bad things happen. Yeah, we're good. No antenna to worry about, at least. But as I was saying, sorry, I think the CGI models they were given, by the time they textured them and everything, I think they just, when they went to print them, kind of ended up making slightly small models. For example, the Gorn ship, the Antares, they're kind of small. Now, some of the other ships, the more traditional TOS ships, like the Enterprise, the Romulan Bird of Prey, the Klingon D7, they're pretty good size, but the newer ones from specifically TOS are generally seem small. But this one is a good size. It really is, especially because of this ring. And it's just decent metal. It's pretty much what you'd expect. The center part here is metal. These extensions are plastic. And much of this ring system, of course, is plastic. I like it because it's unique, it's cool, it pays homage to the original, it doesn't go way too far out in left field. It's distinctly alien, and it looks kind of quirky and weird and specialist built, which is exactly what it was. But yeah, this was designed in the series to harass the Enterprise and try to prevent the peace conference. And it's really the only Orion ship we see for a long time. Now, in universe, this is an earlier ship. But of course, in our world, well, technically, it's earlier too, because TOS-R came out after by a year or two. But, you know, TOS was many decades before. This was seen in the series working as an interceptor, a raider, or a slaver ship. They seem to operate in groups of at least 2 or 3, maybe 4. They swoop in. They're like, I think they're pretty much modeling off, modern day pirate boats. How they'll use speedboats and come in and attack ships, plunder what they can. Kind of a smash and grab burglary. But instead of getting goods, they go for people, which I guess are technically goods to them, since they're said to be slavers. This one I can actually more easily pick up. It's very green, I think, yes. It is relatively light, but it's also quite big. The nose sticks out quite a few inches. The wings have a good span. The center part is metal. The wings are plastic. And as you see, it stays on its stand very well. I like when that happens. The way the stand clips on and how nice and tight it is reminds me a lot of the Romulan Valdor. But we know from the episode, when on a one-on-one fight with the NX-01, these really don't challenge it, but when they take it by surprise, the fact that they didn't have shields and this had a transporter gave them kind of ability. But when a Klingon Bird of Prey went up against these, it pulverized them. So it's not as strong as a 22nd century Klingon Bird of Prey, that's for sure. Again, it's a pirate speedboat. So, I have a couple of thoughts on this design. The model's good. I was really looking for it. I was hoping they would do at least this Interceptor out. As I've said in other videos, I like the Enterprise ships. That's my cat. As a design, it's really cool. Very bird-like, raptor, hawk-like. Has a very beak-looking thing. The wings don't have disruptors on the tips. Actually, the cannon are located under the fuselage. So a little different. But, again, not me, cat. She's crawling through some of the packing material for my business. Seems like one always runs out here when I try to do these. So as a design, it's neat. But it does have a certain Klingon element. But honestly, it's a little too clean for a Klingon ship of the 22nd century. It doesn't have all of those tubes sticking out gun turrets. It definitely reminds me more of a Romulan ship. If this had been viewed as a Romulan ship, I would have totally bought it from this time period. They could have even said that the Orions, since these are obviously not government officials per se, they're criminals, stole them or bought them kind of black market from the Romulans. Which is, still possible. Definitely still possible. Maybe in my head canon I can even say that, but there's obviously no evidence for it. And since we see multiples in their hands, it's obviously not a one-off deal. Who knows? I do kind of wish they had stuck more to this design aesthetic for the Orions, because it's unique. Going to kind of this green bird is a little bit lazy, because they've already done that with Romulans and Klingons. So to give the Orions the same aesthetic is a little uninspired. However, this was Season 4. The series was going to be canceled. At least they did design a new ship. They didn't just recycle some older one, which is more than you can say for older Star Trek series. And of course, it's the benefit of CGI. It's not inexpensive to make a CGI model, far from it, but it's still a lot less time consuming than making a physical miniature. So I'm glad they did it. All in all, I'm going to say they get a B for design, but maybe just a C for effort. I think they could have put a little more, but I also realized that they were probably under a huge time crunch. So yeah, as far as the Eagle Moss model, I think they did as well as they could. This is one of those that you're not really going to find in any other model collection. So, neat. Actually, both of these are that way. So when this came in, I thought I would just chat about it. As always, I did my best to get something on camera. I hope I did. Remember, blind. I hate having to remind people, but when I don't, then people comment ad nauseum. So, yep. There it is. If you have any questions or comments, please do post them below. And if you could, like, share, and subscribe. This is Misha, and I'll catch you very soon next time.